Hello, good morning, and welcome to another exciting moment. We talk about the best of stories in the world of business. It is Business 360, and my name is Blyden Okem. In Business 360 today, we'll look at some of the fundamental analysis regarding the markets, the stock markets, and the commodities. We'll also look at global economy. The Australian Central Reserve Bank governor is saying that inflation will get even higher, but we begin with Elon Musk. Elon Musk's social media platform X has sued a pressure group that accused the site of allowing anti-Semitic posts next to advertising. X's lawsuit alleges that Media Matters for America manipulated data in an attempt to destroy the platform formerly known as Twitter. Firms including Apple, Disney, IBM, and Comcast have paused adverts on X since the watchdog released its analysis. After Mr. Musk threatened the lawsuit, Media Matters called him a bully. The advocacy group said last week that ads had appeared on X alongside posts supporting Nazism, such as Hitler's quotes and Holocaust denial. Still on the foreign scene, Shakira reaches deal in tax fraud case. Pop star Shakira has agreed to a deal with Spanish authorities on the first day of a tax fraud trial in Barcelona, avoiding the risks of a prison sentence. In the U.S., fresh off bargaining with Detroit 3, United Auto Workers President Sean Fan says in an interview that he wants to gain United Auto Workers membership in non-union companies across the car industry. Let's find out details regarding this.
Groups to come in and discourage workers from wanting a union. Why do they do that? Because the companies know they want the workers not to understand the power they'll have if they join a union. I believe the time's right in this country to organize those areas, and naturally, the companies are going to come at us with everything they have. Three days after we got a tentative agreement, Toyota gave a pay increase to their employees. Then Honda followed suit. Then Hyundai followed suit. We're calling that the UAW bump. I mean, these companies could have given these people raises and all these things a year ago, 6 months ago. They didn't. Why did they do it?
In Africa, Chancellor Olaf Scholz of Germany has committed 4 billion euros to the African EU Green Energy Initiative until 2030, adding that Europe's largest economy intends to source a substantial portion of its green hydrogen requirement from the African continent. Delivering a speech at the G20 Compact with Africa conference, Scholz said European countries should support Africa's developing countries for climate-friendly energy solutions. He used African leaders at a conference and urged them to expedite their efforts in establishing an African continental free trade area. In Kenya, in October, Kenyans who work and reside overseas sent home an extra 2.3 billion shilling compared to $340.4 million, an equivalent of 51.89 billion shilling in September. According to the most recent data from the Central Bank of Kenya, remittances inflows in October 2022 totaled $332.6 million, a 6.9% rise from $355.6 million in October 2022. The United States remains the top contributor, accounting for 54% of October's remittances. Despite the surge in remittances, Kenya's foreign exchange reserves dipped below the 4-month import cover minimum. Now looking at World Bank's perspective in Kenya. The World Bank predicted on Monday that it will provide $12 billion in aid to Kenya over the following 3 years, which may significantly ease the financial strain on the East African nation. Financial strains had prompted the World Bank to intervene to support Kenya's national budget. In addition to World Bank aid, Kenya gains immediate access to $682 million and an increased lending program of $938 million from the International Monetary Fund. In Nigeria, Mr. Wala Edu, the Minister of Finance, has disclosed that the Federation account has witnessed improved revenue inflows from an average of 650 million naira monthly to over 1 trillion naira in the last 4 months since the removal of subsidy. The minister made this declaration on Monday during the opening ceremony of a 4-day retreat held for members of the Federation Account Allocation Committee in Asaba. He reassured that President Tinubu, while giving this reassurance, he said the President Tinubu is committed to restoring the economy to normalcy, ensuring that the sacrifices made by the masses will not be in vain. The Nigerian administration, led by Bola Tinubu, has implemented well-structured palliative measures to alleviate the economic impact of the ongoing reforms, he said. Meanwhile, the federal government of Nigeria has initiated discussions with Elon Musk's Starlink on setting up programs that will create jobs in Nigeria through local maintenance and production of its hardware. The discussion happened on the sideline of the ongoing International Telecommunication Union World Radio Communication Conference in Dubai. The Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, stated this through the verified X handle. In October, Starlink Nigeria reduced its hardware prices by 21% in its efforts to capture a larger portion of the Nigerian internet service provider markets. Also, the federal government of Nigeria says it has kick-started a recruitment exercise for community managers under its ongoing 3 Million Technical Talents 3MTT program. The Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, discloses through the official X handle of the ministry. According to the ministry, the nationwide recruitment exercise will produce 37 learning community managers nationwide to coordinate the activities of the community members. Also, the federal government has lost an estimated $16 trillion to natural gas flaring in 10 years amid rising debt stock, which stood at 87.38 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2023. The Energy Institute's 72nd edition of the Statistical Review of World Energy 2023 disclosed this, noting that the amount was lost from 2012 to 2022. An analysis of the data showed that upstream and downstream oil and gas firms operating in the country fled the highest amount of gas in 2012, estimated at 12.9 billion cubic meters of natural gas, 9.2 billion cubic meters in 2013, 8.3 billion in 2014, and 7.4 billion cubic meters in 2015. We'll go on a short break. When we return, it will be global economic statistics all around the world, looking at implications of living standards in India. Don't go anywhere.
Pardon, Liberty, and Bell. The National Turkey presentation and pardon marks the unofficial start of the holiday season. We're here in Washington, a time to share joy and gratitude and have a little bit of fun. One thing I want to make clear that was not clear then, even though Liberty and Bell are from Minnesota, they're named for a famous Liberty Bell in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. These birds have a new appreciation of the word, let freedom ring. So happy Thanksgiving. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you saw all our military families. It was so nice of them to join us today, all the children. And the tree, which is magnificent, is from the Klein Church Nursery. And some of the kids said that they had never seen a tree so big. So I hope you'll all come back during the holidays with your families. Thanks for being here. Happy holidays.
Welcome back. It is Business 360, and my name is Blyden Ukem. What you saw was Biden welcoming holiday season with turkey patterns and White House Christmas tree. It's a story the season is around the corner. But let's move further to other talking points in the world of business. Let's move to India's perspective this morning in the world of business. Talking about analysis in the world of business, India's perspective comes with different outlook. India's living standard has soared in the last 26 years. But that will be when we return from the perspective of these charts coming up here, the charts this morning. Well, according to the chart, we look at standard of living in India and the perspective of it at a flat level. Well, Indian living standard soared to the last 26 years. India's GDP per capita growth outperformed markets. Real GDP per capita in India has risen by 218% since 1996 and has only fallen once in 2020. India now, the world's third largest economy, is potentially favored by a demographic dividend in contrast with many Asian and Western countries, with a proportion of young people under the age of 15 standing at 38% of the total population. A second burst of GDP growth might come if India's currently low figure for the employment to population ratio of 42% was raised closer to 65% level prevailing in China. And one of the most significant negative factors of India's economy and its performance remains a relatively high number of people still classed as living in poverty at 25.5%. And this can sharply contrast with China, where inclusive growth has reduced the poverty ratio to only 0.1%. While not having the right data regarding the GDP per capita growth, I will get to look at it further at another episode. Well, let's talk about Australia. It was important to prevent inflation expectation in Australia from increasing significantly, given the cost of that eventuality. Minutes of the Reserve Bank's meeting in November showed. Well, members were aware that inflation had continued to decline in the nation, but underlying inflation was stronger than expected a few months earlier and quarterly had picked up slightly, it added. Well, consumer price index inflation is now projected to be around 3.5% by the end of 2024 and at the top of the target range of 2 to 3% by the end of 2025. Meanwhile, the Reserve Bank of Australia's Governor Michelle Bullock says taming consumer prices remain a crucial challenge for policymakers. She spoke at a panel discussion in Melbourne. Let's find out more.
And I think inflation is the crucial challenge over the next 1 to 2 years. As Raf said, it is coming down. There is a bit of a perception around that the inflation at the moment really is all a supply-driven thing. Petrol prices, rents, these sorts of things, energy. But it's actually, there's an underlying demand component to it as well. And that's what the central banks are trying to get on top of. It's often said that if there's just supply shocks, central banks should just look through them, let them naturally decline and come out of the numbers. And we are observing a lot of that. That's why headline inflation has come down quite quickly overseas, and it has also come down in Australia. But if there's this underlying demand component to it as well, that is actually something that central banks can do something about, and that's been part of it. I think there's another few things I'd like to highlight about the inflation challenge. The first is the productivity challenge, and I won't say a lot about that. I'll defer to Danielle, but we haven't had any, at least according to the numbers, we haven't had any productivity growth in Australia for a number of years. And although wage rises are around about 4% in a normal context of productivity growth aren't necessarily inconsistent with our inflation target.
Quite challenging for the governor, Michelle Bullock, regarding upside risks to inflation. Now to the markets. Poor weather in Brazil and healthy buying from China has seen U.S. soybean farmers enjoy a spike in export demand. This spike in sales has made market bulls optimistic that more export commitments and sales are underway. What is the outlook for the remainder of the soybean marketing year? Let's find out more from Jim McCormick regarding this.
Year to date, U.S. soybean export commitments are nearly 1,035 million bushels, representing 59% of the USDA's current export target, putting the pace just shy of the 5-year average of 60% sold. This past week's soybean sales came in at 3.9 million metric tons, or 144 million bushels, a marketing year high. This spike in demand has given market bulls optimism that more export sales are coming. Chinese buying accounted for 66% of last week's total sales volume. Chinese state buyers made a bulk of the recent purchases for their state reserve. The Chinese private crush industry has been mainly absent. Still, they could get active if weather conditions in Brazil continue to worsen, as delayed planting is keeping U.S. exports competitively priced through at least January. A 10% drop in trend yield would put Brazil's soybean production at 147 million metric tons, potentially opening the door for even more exports than are currently forecasted.
Still on the market, prices dipped on Monday, but a string of earlier gains helped push U.S. cocoa futures above $4,000 per metric ton, contributing an appreciation of over 40% for the year. It's a price not seen since 1978 and surpasses the 2011 peak that resulted from the year's Ivory Coast export ban on cocoa, but it's still well above the 1977's high of $5,379 per metric tons. This time around, delayed harvests are exacerbating shortages that have been ongoing for 2 years, and the supply crunch is heading into a third year. Bad weather and concerns over crop disease led to lagging harvests, and similar factors have also dragged down the supply of sugar, driving its price up. Now let's get to the agricultural market and see what the prices are this morning, and afterwards the metals and the energy market this morning. The agricultural commodities. Agricultural commodity price has gone up 7.25 points, a 0.53% appreciation. $1,374 per bushel is the price of soybeans. Wheat price also upward by 2 points, lumber upward 7 points, palm oil gaining 33 points. 3,967 Malaysian ringgit per ton is the price of palm oil in the market. Let's look at the metals, what the price of gold is. Metal price, gold price has gone up 15 points this morning. Market is moving quite fast. $1,993 per ounce, gaining 0.8% appreciation. Silver price also slightly upward, gaining 1.19% upward movement, $23 per ounce. The price of steel has gained 35 points this morning. The current price for steel is 3,987 Chinese yuan per ton. It's been an upward movement, no change for lithium in the market. Now to the energy market. Crude oil price slightly downward this morning, despite the fact that most of the commodities are upward in the morning market. The price of crude oil, the U.S. crude, is $77 per barrel, a downward by 0.35% decline. Brent price, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, is dropping this morning by negative 0.68%, $81 per barrel for Brent. Gasoline slightly downward, heating oil slightly downward, and coal price dropping 0.75 points. Now to the foreign exchange market. After a quiet summer of low volatility, cryptocurrencies have surged, with Bitcoin reaching a fresh 52-week high of almost $38,000 in November. Here are 3 factors that explain the Bitcoin updraft. Scott Poir has more. Let's find out.
After a quiet summer of low volatility, cryptocurrencies have surged. Bitcoin price reached its fresh 52-week high of almost 38,000, a 123% year-to-date gain. And there are a few crucial factors driving this upward strength in Bitcoin. The recent rise is partly attributed to a short squeeze, a market phenomenon where the price of an asset jumps higher than expected, forcing short sellers to cover their positions. Perhaps most prominently is the hype around a spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund, or ETF, which is bringing significant inflows to Bitcoin as liquid supply is tightening, pushing prices across the crypto market higher. While the SEC is yet to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF, the open period for approval extends until January, maintaining a level of anticipation in the market. Also, while some investors may be awaiting increased liquidity from approved ETFs, institutional investors have already begun deploying funds to Bitcoin and crypto.
Let's look at outlook regarding the cryptocurrency market and what the prices are this morning, the price of Bitcoin, Ether, and the rest, the crypto market. According to the market this morning, Bitcoin has dropped 73 points after getting to 3,400 plus point mark, dropping 0.22% this morning. For Ether, it's also downward 17.3 points, a negative 0.85%. 2008 US dollar is the price of Ether. Binance upward 6.5 points. Cardano 0.0039 points upward, a 1.03% appreciation. A struggle for Solana and Ripples. Let's look at the euro against the US dollar. What the prices are this morning. It's still within the 1.095 point mark. A slight gain this morning. A 0.14% appreciation for the euro against the US dollar. The pound against the US dollar. Our current price is 1.25 point mark, upward by 0.21% in favor of the pound. Nigeria's currency, the naira, continued its appreciation trend against the US dollar at the foreign exchange market on Monday. Official data from the FMDQ showed that the country's currency appreciated 750 naira 15 kobo against the dollar at the close of work on Monday, compared to 791.25 naira per dollar on Friday. The figure represents a 40.75 naira gain compared to the exchange rate at the close of work on Friday. And quickly, let's look at naira's perspective in the market. The price of the US dollar against the naira and the naira in the parallel market. The US dollar against the naira, current price is 819 naira, equaling $1. The euro to naira, 1.62 points increase for the euro, 917 naira equaling €1, and the pounds 1,046 naira to the pound. Let's look at the parallel market where the prices are this morning. Dollar to naira, a buying rate 1,143 naira equals $1, and 1,133 naira the selling rate. Pounds to naira, 1,405 naira to the pound at the buying rate, and selling rate 1,378 naira. The euro to naira, 1,211 naira buying rate, and selling rate 1,192 naira. Quite concerning being that of mixed fortune for these currencies and the naira. But here we draw the curtain in today's edition of Business 360. Thank you for being a part of it. My name is Blyden Kim.